Hello team, welcome back to the party. This is week 3, oh dear. This is week 3, and this week is all about the $1 million formula of YouTube success. How do we get people to click on our bloody videos, and then how do we get people to continue to watch them so that all of the good things happen? And we talked in Monday's session about how if we can just crack this formula, then we're going to become overnight billionaires thanks to YouTube. And this is the formula that every YouTuber in the world is constantly working on. And it's a bit of a misnomer calling it a formula, because this is, a filmmaker. If they can make a movie that people want to watch, and then when they watch it, they enjoy it, they're absolutely winning. If you're a writer and you can make a book that people want to read and then enjoy reading it, then again, you're winning. Like, these are just the two strands in any kind of creative field. Step 1 is to make people actually watch or listen to or read your thing. And step 2 is to make them enjoy it while that's happening. And so in the first session on Monday, we talked all about like titles, thumbnails, and hooks. How do we draw people in? How do we earn that click in the first place? We gave you loads of tips on how to do titles and loads of tips on how to use thumbnails, and I'm going to blitz through those as a quick recap in this session. And in this session, we're going to talk a lot about how to actually craft the video itself in a way that is engaging for your audience and therefore engaging for the algorithm, because as we know by now, the algorithm is not like a thing. All it does is follow the audience's preferences. And if you make a video that people enjoy watching, then the algorithm is going to promote the hell out of you. But conversely, if you make a video that people don't enjoy watching, then it's not going to get picked up by the algorithm at all, and you're not going to get any views on it. And so this is the constant challenge. Some great stuff in Ultra Speaking the other day, and also in Matthew Dix's guest workshop last night, all of which are uploaded to the PTYA community. And I will show you some slides where you can get access to those recordings if you haven't seen them just yet. As a reminder, at this point in the journey, you might start to get disgruntled. Oh my God, I've made like 3 videos and I'm not getting any views. That's totally okay. The average channel needs 152 videos to get to 1,000 subscribers. If you are one of our advanced students and you're way beyond that point, then well done. Your growth is probably faster than the average. But the more we can systemize things, the more easier it'll be for you to continue to keep at that cadence of one video a week or 2 videos a week. And these are the stats that we've had so far. We've also talked about how success is a combination of luck and work and unfair advantages. But the more videos you put out and the more consistently you keep at it, the more surface area you're allowing for lucky, interesting things to happen to you. And that is all great. The work, yes, we call it work, but it's actually just fun. Like, the more we can enjoy ourselves in making the YouTube videos, the more we can turn it into a game that we're playing with ourselves, the more we can kind of try and improve a little bit each time. These are all things that make whatever we're doing more fun. And when what we're doing is fun, we automatically want to do more of it and are more productive and effective at doing the thing. So that's very good. And we've talked a little bit about unfair advantages as well. And my friend Hassan Kuba, co-author of the book, The Unfair Advantage, has given a guest workshop where he talks about how we find our own unfair advantages. And generally, when we're on YouTube, or almost in any other field of life as well, we want to play to our unfair advantages. We don't necessarily, it wouldn't make sense for me to start creating guitar tutorials because I suck at the guitar. Whereas it would make sense for me to do videos on how to get into med school because I got into med school, and that's an unfair advantage over there. We've talked about the concept of stacking the deck that we're going to keep on referring to. YouTube is a probabilistic game. There are no guarantees of anything at all, but you can stack the deck in your favor with time by making lots of videos and getting better at making videos and putting loads of time into editing and so on. You can stack the deck in your favor in terms of money by investing in gear and hiring a team broadly. And you can stack the deck in your favor by building a system around your stuff. So that the system in a way acts as a force multiplier. It leverages your own efforts, because if you put your own efforts into a solid system, then you get results without it feeling like a heavy lift all the time. And it's really the systems component that we're trying to teach you as best as we can in this course. And hopefully it's been all right so far. We are nearly halfway through and we have some fun stuff ahead of us. Just sharing some community wins. King Chan, thank you for sharing this. This is what we like to see for shorts. That was kind of cool. Randomly got a bunch of views all of a sudden from the shorts feed, as well as direct or unknown. Sadly, they're not good enough for a continual share from YouTube. Yeah, the continual share from YouTube isn't really a thing. It's more like if the video ends up on the shorts feed and people vibe with it, then it's going to continue to get promoted and promoted. So well done for landing on the shorts feed. That's all very good. We've got Nicholas, who shared, after 50 uploads in 2 years, I've managed to reach 1,000 subscribers. That's very good. That's still 3 times faster than the average. The average channel takes 152 uploads to hit 1,000 subscribers. So you've done it 3 times faster than the average. And about as fast as I did. Mine was 52 videos over 6 months. Yours was 50 uploads over 2 years. And it's sort of around that 50 number that seems to be the sweet spot for a lot of people. It took me 52 videos to hit the first 1,000 subscribers. And yeah, 1 video a week has been the key. This is all very good. John, congratulations, 10,000 views over for the SolarWinds video. That's also shared in the community wins. And Mario got recognized on the streets, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, that's always nice when that happens, especially when the audience is small and you don't realize it's going to happen. Workbooks. Workbooks have arrived for a lot of you. They are still on the way for some of you, depending on what countries you live in. They actually look pretty sick. I got mine a few days ago and I was like, damn, Christian has done an incredible job in putting these together, because you just don't really realize in PDF format just how sick these workbooks are. So yeah, I have mine on my desk at all times now. I just sort of flick through it and it's like, oh, this is kind of cute. Recordings for stuff. So the Ultra Speaking guys and Matthew Dix, the recordings you will find in the Cohort 3 video vault on the PTYA community under guest workshops. And that'll be there. So underneath this post where I've written all the details and timings and stuff, you'll find the recordings of all of the guest workshops. And you can check those out if you like. Oh yeah, these are links. So presumably if they click on the link, it goes to the video itself. Yeah, so very easy to find recordings for all the guest workshops. As a bit of an announcement, David Perel is sadly unable to make the workshop that was supposed to be tomorrow. And so instead it's been postponed to the same time next week. Again, that should be updated on your calendars, but if it's not, then please have a look. That'll be Friday the 2nd of July at 8 p.m. British Summer Time, a crash course in writing for YouTube featuring David Perel. All right, let's get cracking. Let's talk about how do we keep viewers engaged throughout our videos. This is the fun part. So basically, the formula we have for this is the Hives framework. H for hook, I for intro, V for value, and E for end screen sales pitch. Hook, intro, value, end screen sales pitch. It's pretty straightforward if you start applying the Hives framework. In fact, you can apply the Hives framework to all of your videos moving forward, and you never need to change it because this is always the format of a video. Hook, intro, value, end screen sales pitch. Sometimes you might forget about the intro, but every video will have a hook and will have some value in it and should have an end screen sales pitch, and we'll talk about more about those in turn. So we have talked about the hook a little bit last time, and I guess overall, initially we need to get the click in the first place through titles and thumbnails. We talked about what makes a good title, about selling the result, about trying to build intrigue rather than by fostering agreement with the end user, about not being descriptive in terms of your titles. The only objective of your title is to set an expectation in the viewer's mind, give them a promise, and then make them click on your video, and then you can deliver on that promise in the content of the video itself. And therefore, it doesn't matter too much if you take a little bit of artistic license when you are doing your titles. We've talked about optimizing your titles for humans. YouTube is not what it was 7 years ago, i.e. you stuff your title full of keywords and hope a machine picks it up. Instead, you want to title your video in a way that optimizes for humans. Even if you're targeting search, what would the sort of person who's going to be searching for that topic, what title would they want to click? Rather than thinking about, how do I optimize my title for the algorithm? Because again, that is not a thing. To optimize your title for the algorithm, you need to optimize your title for your viewers. And rule number 5 was A/B testing, which is a rule for the pros, and you can use TubeBuddy. And we'll put our link with our special 2-month free trial link for the TubeBuddy Legend license. It normally costs $49 a month. I think it's totally worth it once you're beyond 1,000 subscribers probably, and you can use that to A/B test your titles. What makes a good thumbnail? Again, we've got 5 rules. Rule number 1, make them pop. Generally, you want a thumbnail that catches the viewer's eyes, and an easy way of doing that is just ramping up the contrast and the vibrance and the saturation sort of when you're editing your photos. Another thing is to really think about what vibe you want to create with your thumbnails. Technically, YouTube is going to say, or the YouTube stats say you should do one of those really shocked faces, meme-worthy stuff in the background, white cutouts. But is that really the vibe you want for your channel? Really think about the vibe, because your vibe attracts your tribe, as Jack Edwards likes to say, and that's something we want to keep in mind. Rule number 3 is emotion is good if it fits the vibe. So again, there's no need to always have a shocked face in all of your videos. It just depends what is the sort of vibe you want to create. It's all about balancing the art versus the science, which is rule number 3 in a bit. Rule number 4 is thumbnails and titles should not be an afterthought. They're always an afterthought when you're starting out on YouTube. For the first 2 years of my channel, I was uploading a video and only then thinking about the title and the thumbnail. But now it's like we're not ever going to even write a video unless it has a good title. And we're trying to have a similar process with thumbnails as well. And again, you know, if you're a pro, you can use TubeBuddy to A/B test your thumbnails as well and get some statistical data on what thumbnails objectively perform better than others. Then when it comes to the hook, we talked about how the average attention span for a goldfish is 9 seconds, but the average attention span for a human has dropped from 12 seconds to 8 seconds since the year 2000, lol. And how the first 10 to 30 seconds are absolutely key for your videos because everyone has like that dip in engagement if you look at your retention graphs in the first like 5 to 20 seconds. And we want to minimize that dip in engagement as much as possible because the more people we can get to actually watch the first 30 seconds of our video, the more bought in they're going to be to our message and the more they're more likely to watch the rest of the video. So most of the battle is in getting them engaged enough to watch the first 30 seconds. We talked about all the different ways in which you can have a hook. Again, this is all recapping stuff from Monday's session about you could ask a question, you could share a fact, you could be like, in this video, we're going to go from this to that, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. You can give a tip, you can go straight into the content, you can show some really nice B-roll that makes people think, oh, that's kind of pretty, this looks really good. Or you can do the thing that a lot of vloggers do, which is have a coming up, and you'll get like a little clip from later on in the video that builds some intrigue and that wants to keep people watching. So those are the different ways of doing a hook. All of this stuff is the stuff that we discussed in Monday's session. So I've just kind of blitzed through it in the last like 6 minutes, but for more information, do please watch the recording of Monday's session if you haven't seen it yet. Let's now talk about the intro. What is the intro? The intro is that thing when you say hello to your viewers and you tell them who you are and you tell them what you do. What is the point of an intro? So the point of an intro is that when someone lands on your YouTube video, they could land on basically any video on your channel. And for a lot of viewers, that is going to be their first time getting any kind of contact with you. They won't know who you are before the point where they landed on that first video on your channel. And therefore the point of an intro, and generally the intro should come after the hook, once we've already hooked their attention, the point of an intro is to tell the viewers who we are and why they should care. That's basically the thing we're trying to get. We're trying to convert random people scrolling through YouTube into our own fans and our own subscribers. And one way of helping with that is by doing an introduction. Be like, hey, if you're new here, my name is X and I make videos about Y. That sort of thing. It doesn't have to follow that canned format, but thinking about what your intro is going to be, even if you don't want to have an intro, like it's fine not to have an intro, you can just go straight to the content, but it is always useful to think about what would my intro be if I were giving an elevator pitch to, I don't know, the viewer watching my video for the first time. Who am I and why should they care? And so we're going to dive into an exercise in a moment. Oh yeah, the 3 video types. I remember this was a slide. People always ask, when do I need an intro? And the way to answer that is that we need to recognize that there are broadly 3 different types of videos. There is discoverable videos, community videos, and sales videos. A discoverable video is the one where someone might stumble on your channel for the first time. iPhone 12 review is a discoverable video. 5 best recipes for making eggnog at Christmas is a discoverable video. How to sleep better at night is a discoverable video. These are the videos where people might stumble on our channel from browsing YouTube or from searching who wouldn't necessarily have known about us beforehand. Those are discoverable videos. Community videos are things like 1,000 subscribers Q&A, or answering assumptions, or get to know me, or Q&A with my housemate, or the boyfriend tag, boyfriend does my makeup, or that sort of stuff. These are all community videos. Not many people outside of our existing audience will know or care about those videos. No one who doesn't know who I am already is going to care if I do 1,000 subscribers Q&A. But it's a community video. It's a video that's for our existing fans, and it helps deepen that relationship with our audience. So we can think of discoverable videos as being like helping us increase the breadth of our impact, like reaching more people. We think of the community videos as going deeper with our community members once they're already subscribed / fans of us and our channels. And then finally, we have sales videos. And these are videos where the only objective is to get the viewer to go off YouTube and to buy something or do something. So a sales video would be, guys, I've just launched a brand new Skillshare class, link in the video description, check it out. It's really, really, really good, blah, 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 link. Where my entire intention of that video is to get people to leave YouTube and to do something else. A sales video would also be one where your objective is to get people to sign up to your mailing list. Like, hey guys, if you enjoyed blah, 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 then sign up to my mailing list and get my free 7-day crash course and whatever, blah, blah, blah over here. That would be a sales pitch in a video. And crucially, It's a sales video because it's encouraging people to leave the platform. It's encouraging people to go off YouTube. And we can talk we'll talk much more about the benefit of sales videos in like week 5 and 6 when we talk about expansion and monetization. But when it comes to intros, we kind of want to have intros in our discoverable videos, because when it's if it's a community video, we don't need an intro because everyone knows who we are anyway. But if it's a discoverable video, then having an intro is useful, and having something that you can like create as a sort of ritual for your channel, again, is super, super useful in helping new people understand who we are and what we're about. So how do we craft our intro? One way to think about it is like, why do we do what we do? How do we do what we do? And what do we actually do? This is like, I think probably like Simon Sinek, start with why. He draws these sorts of diagrams. Essentially, the way that I think of an intro is that it's a, hi, my name is whatever, and I help X people do Y through Z. Sometimes the Z thing gets omitted, but on this channel, we help X do Y. We help audience do the thing that the audience wants to do through ... tutorials, content, blah, 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 blah. So here are some examples of intros that are kind of solid.
With so many cameras on the market at various different price points, what camera do you buy for YouTube videos? In this video, I'll be sharing some of the features you want to look out for as you're on your hunt to find your YouTube camera.
So that was a hook. That was a very good hook. It keeps people engaged. It like immediately goes straight to the content. He's not talking about his name. No one cares who this guy is right now. They've clicked on a video called How to Choose the Perfect Camera for YouTube. And he's saying, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the perfect camera. He's got some B-roll. It's signaling that this guy's legit. And in the first 12 seconds, he's captured our attention by creating a hook. But now he's going to do his intro. So someone random has landed on this video, maybe someone who wants to start YouTube. They've seen, oh, this sounds like the sort of video for me. This guy's kind of legit in the hook. And watch what he says for the intro now.
Let's get it.
You gotta just press record.
Hey, what's up? It's Omar Altakori with Think Media, helping you build your influence with online video. And on this channel, sometimes we do tip videos for YouTube and strategy tips, as well as tech gear reviews and product recommendation videos, just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. So on this channel,
Hi, it's Omar Altakori from Think Media here, where we help X do Y by creating videos about tips and tutorials and product reviews and that kind of stuff. This is quite a long intro, but it's a very solid intro. No one watching this is not going to know what the channel Think Media is about. They're not going to have any level of confusion. And it makes it very, very clear, are you the sort of person who should hit the subscribe button or are you not? If someone is just a random photographer and they stumble across this video because they're looking for Sony a6400 review, they're gonna see, oh, this channel is for people who want to do YouTube and it's about tips and tricks for growing on YouTube. That's not for me. I'm not going to hit subscribe. That is totally cool. That is literally what we want. We want our subscribers to be the people who are actually most engaged and within our target audience. We don't want a random person to subscribe to our channel and then not watch our videos, because if we have subscribers that don't watch our videos, that theoretically is a negative signal to the YouTube algorithm. So what you do not want in an ideal world is you don't want to go viral when you have 2 videos on your channel because a big YouTuber has given you a shout out, because most of that audience that will hit the subscribe button will actually not bother watching your videos because they're just not your target audience. And therefore we want to be very, very careful about like trying to make sure the right sort of people subscribe to our channel, the one that actually vibes with our community. And so in Think Media's intro, they are very much excluding people who don't want to do YouTube from hitting the subscribe button, which is very good. And they're very much including people who do want to do YouTube and encouraging them to hit the subscribe button. This is a great intro. It's a bit long, but it's a fantastic intro.
with so many cameras on the market.
This is another intro. It's less good, but you'll see what I do over here.
In this video, I'm going to take you through the 7 levels along the journey of trying to remember everything that we read.
So that was the hook, in theory.
Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ali. I'm a doctor based in the UK, and on this channel we explore the strategies and tools that help us live healthier, happier, more productive lives. And if you're anything like me and you're interested in personal development, lifelong learning, becoming a better thinker and all that stuff, you'll know that reading is a very important part of this. But if you're anything like...
Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ali. I'm a doctor based in Cambridge, and on this channel we explore the strategies and tools that help us live healthier, happier, more productive lives, and bloody blah, bloody blah, bloody blah, big smile on my face, kind of tongue-in-cheek, bit of B-roll, bit of like, if you're interested in personal development, lifelong learning, and blah, 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 blah. Hopefully what that intro is signaling, and what I've crafted that intro to try and signal, is for the right people, in the target audience to be, oh, wow, this guy sounds interesting. This is exactly my kind of vibe. I'm going to hit the subscribe button. This is the value of an intro. Again, we don't do the intro in every video. Again, big YouTubers don't bother having an intro at all. I've seen in the chat, MKBHD be like, yo, what's up? It's MKBHD. He doesn't need to say, hey, it's MKBHD, and on this channel, I do tech reviews, because it's just kind of obvious. Like, on his channel, he does tech reviews. But broadly, whether or not you use an intro, it's useful to think about having one because it helps get you some clarity on what your target audience and value proposition is going to be. So we have a 5-minute solo exercise now, and then we'll go into breakout rooms. Spend the next 5 minutes drafting your introduction. Some options: I'm X, and on this channel we do Y. I help X do Y. I help X do Y by Z. Don't overthink this. This is just a rough first draft. Coming up with the final version is going to take some time. This is just a rough first draft. It's okay if it sucks. This is just a rough first draft. And one tip I'd give for this is it's better to be more specific than more general. If you say, on this channel, we help you live a better life, it's pretty general. It doesn't really, it's not really going to attract anyone. If you're like a small YouTuber, if you're like, on this channel, we help FP&A teams at 100 to 500 employee companies build better models using Microsoft Excel. That is a pretty sick intro because it's very, very, very clear who your niche is. Whereas if you said, we help people work better with numbers, then fine. But the more general you are with your intro and your value proposition, the more broad the market is that you're competing with. And therefore you really, really have to stand out in every way to succeed with the phrase, we help you live a better life. On this channel, we help you live a better life. On this channel, we help, I don't know, Pakistani mums who've moved to the UK who are aged between 30 and 50, who are having their first kid, help manage the problems with a kid growing up. Like, that's kind of specific. Whereas we help mums be better is way too general, and there's almost no way you're going to actually compete in the market of we help mums be better. So have a think about really, like, how would you specificize your niche to the point that you could put it in the intro? And then once you've gotten the super specific version of that, you can just generalize it if you want, but at least you've thought about the specific one, and then you know what target audience you're actually speaking to. So I've spieled on for long enough. I'm going to put some music, I'm going to put a 5-minute timer, and let's go for it. We've got a question. What does an intro look like for a vlog channel? I think about your target audience. Like, if you're a family vlog channel doing vlogs about your kids, it's a very different vibe than if you're Casey Neistat or if you're Peter McKinnon or if you're David Dobrik. If you're a vlog channel, you probably won't actually use your intro, but just thinking about the intro is going to be helpful. Alrighty. If you have typed out your intro, I would love it if you can post it in the chat. This is good. Right, let's see, Jeff. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Where are we? If you're new here, we talk about all things tech, particularly smaller tech items to increase your productivity, streamline your workflow, and make your life easier. Nice, that's cool. Jay, I help new freelancers. You're awesome at your skill. I provide the rest you need to succeed, including marketing, sales, and client relations. Let's get into it. Very nice. You've landed on the Inspire Zambia channel, where I invite Zambians in the diaspora to reconnect with home. I share with you information, ideas, advice, and news about Zambia. I'm Tanya. Let's get into this episode. Nice. That's really good. Hello world, my name is Liam Farabi. I currently study at the University of Technology, Sydney, and major in robotics engineering. On this channel, I aim to help students similar to me fix our overdependent relationship with addictive technologies such as social media by exploring the future of connection. Ooh, that's nice. It's very wordy. I would sort of simplify that and make it so that it's like, 5th grade levels of like English. I feel like that was a bit complex. I'm Matt, and I'm trying to make a cool channel about Chinese martial arts and related stuff. If that's your thing, then please consider subscribing. Nice. Hi everyone, I'm Sheng, an ex-Googler and reform techie in San Francisco. And on this channel, I share the tools and tips that enriched my life and accelerated my career. Very nice. Hey everyone, I'm Yoni, and on this channel I teach 3D and tactics to help you getting the job done. It's not quite clear who that's for. Are we talking people who work in 3D modeling or what? Hi, I'm Sarah Bhavani, and I'm a psychosexual somatics and couples therapist in the UK. Interesting. I help people understand themselves better so they can experience more of their bodies and emotions without overwhelm. Sick. Okay, love it. These intros are great. Very good. All right. Now we have an interactive component. So we're going to do 10-minute breakout rooms. Maybe we'll extend it by like 12 minutes or something. head into breakout rooms and pitch your introduction to your group. Work with those in your group to identify how you can improve your introductions, perhaps by being more specific about your value proposition. Please assign a draconian timekeeper who is allowed to be extremely rude and to interrupt every 2 to 3 minutes so that your group can move on to the next person. It's really important on this one that we all get a chance to speak. So we're gonna probably make 50 breakout rooms, and probably they'll have like between 3 and 4 people in them. So head into breakout rooms, pitch your intro. If for somehow you end up in a breakout room with no one else in it, please stay there for like 2 minutes, because we'll be repopulating the breakout rooms, but it just takes a little bit of time to get someone assigned to everyone. But yeah, let's go for 10 minutes and let's open the breakout rooms now. All right, guys. Thoughts on the breakout room? Please do post your intros if it got refined at all. Low key yet productive and fun was the breakout. Excellent. Yeah, guys, if you've been refining your intros, please do post it in the Zoom chat so we can all get inspiration from one another about what our YouTube intros are going to look like. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mitya and I helped create more than 100 software products, and on this channel I'm sharing my experience every week to help you better navigate the technology business. Very nice. Hi guys, welcome. I'm a pianist and piano teacher based in Hong Kong. On this channel, I'll be sharing simple and practical piano tutorials to help your piano playing to the next level. Sick. Hi, my name's Ian, and on this channel, we inspire people to explore new places whilst taking you on my weight loss journey. Wait, weightless journey? Weight loss journey. Who knows? Sick. All right. Good stuff. So that's the intros. Okay, let's now talk about the meat, as it were. So we've done our intros. We know title, thumbnail, and hook, and intro. Let's now talk about the actual bulk of the video itself. So we're assuming we have gotten our viewers to watch the first 30 seconds, where we're first 15, 20 seconds, where we've done our hook to try and grab their attention by using one of the 6 things that we talked about, or whatever you want. And we've done a little intro where we explain who we are and why they should care. Let's now talk about how do we make them keep watching the video. Again, this is quite hard, but broadly, there are two ways of doing it. Number 1, by writing, and number 2, by structure. So, when we're talking about writing, there are zillions and zillions of frameworks. And so I'm not really going to try and give you a framework for writing a video. We'll talk more about frameworks for structuring videos, and you can read all books about writing advice. Here are 5 pieces of advice that specifically apply to writing for YouTube videos that I would recommend you start incorporating into your videos from now on, if you want to kind of take your videos to the next level. The first one is FBR, which stands for fast, bad, and wrong. And that is when you're doing your first pass, your first draft of bullet points, where you're trying to structure your video, you do it fast, you do it bad, and you do it wrong, and you don't overthink it, and you turn off the editing side of your brain, and you instead just get whatever you know onto the paper. I really like using a whiteboard for this. I literally have a whiteboard behind me. I installed a whiteboard in the house, just so that it would be easier to just very, very, very roughly plan out YouTube videos. At the moment, me and Angus, we work from WeWork, which is a co-working space, and occasionally we meet PTYA friends who come over to hang out at WeWork. And when we plan out videos, which often ends up happening, it's like, all right, let's just go to a whiteboard and just like scroll our rough structure onto the page. Because I find that if you're trying to draft a video, at least for me, if I'm trying to draft a video directly in Notion or something, I end up getting too like confined by the fact that it is typing on a page in Notion. And so whiteboard or iPad notes with Apple Pencil, or even a piece of paper, God forbid, all of these are ways of encouraging us to take a very rough draft approach when we're writing our videos for the first time. And often what I find is that if I've just done my FBR draft, like 5 bullet points, I often think to myself, you know what, that's actually pretty good. I could make the whole video just based on these 5 bullet points. I'm going to show you what this looks like. Am I logged in? Please tell me I'm logged in. Wonderful. I want to show you a video that we filmed earlier today. This was a video around Bitcoin. Where the title is going to be probably, I lost $54,930 trading Bitcoin, here's what I learned. And when I did my FBR draft, it was this list of 5 points. First rule of investing is not to lose money. Don't play with money you might need in the next 5 years. Don't be emotional. Short-term trading is gambling. And ultimate lesson, when you think you're going to be rich is when you should sell. And when you're vomiting when you lost so much money is when you should buy. This was just the FBR draft. And this was the extent of the planning that I did for the bulk of the video. We planned the hook quite extensively, and it's going to be like some fancy James Journey style edited piece, hopefully. But the bulk of the video is in this listicle of 5 points, and I didn't need to expand on them because I'm speaking from my own personal experience. And I know that if I'm talking about personal experience, I can just freestyle based on a couple of bullet points. So often when it comes to planning videos as well, I often find that people have a tendency to go overboard on planning. And the more overboard you go in planning a video, the more friction it's going to be to write the video and also film it. Because filming, when you have a very, very, very clear structure and sort of word by word script, is a lot harder than if you have like 2 bullet points and you're just kind of freestyling. Anyway, FBR, I always, if I'm struggling with writing with my book as well, I will literally write FBR at the top of the page, fast, bad, and wrong, to encourage me to forget about my internal editor and instead just focus on getting content out onto the page. Next, A-roll versus voiceover. So for the uninitiated, A-roll is the bit where you see someone's head talking to you on camera. So right now, you're watching me on a Zoom recording, this is A-roll. And B-roll would be like, when you cut to a shot of the landscape, or if you cut to a shot of yourself writing, or if you cut to a shot of yourself, I don't know, shuffling a deck of cards, or if you cut to a time lapse of whatever. Like B-roll is the stuff that goes over the top of the A-roll. And if you look at a lot of the pro filmmakery type YouTubers, people like Matt D'Avella, people like Mike Shake, Pickup Limes does this a lot as well. iJustine does this a lot as well. You'll notice that there is they often alternate between bits where they're speaking to the camera and bits where there's just a voiceover with B-roll. Now, when it comes to writing videos for YouTube, if you can alternate between A-roll and voiceover, it often makes the video a little bit more engaging. I'll show you an example of one of Matt's videos to really show what this looks like. Let's just see what.
Another exciting.
Shut up. What video has he done recently? Switch to my YouTube Premium. Okay, I tried daily affirmations for 7 days. This video's doing pretty well.
So lately I've found myself in a bit of a slump. I really don't have a lot of motivation. I've been doubting
So this is all A-roll. He is speaking to the camera.
a lot about what I've been doing with my life. And, I feel like I'm in a rut. And so I thought, hey, why not try daily affirmations?
And now the voiceover is coming up.
Why not? If you haven't yet been initiated into the wonderful world of positive thinking and daily affirmations, here's what it's all about. Most people go throughout their day followed by a trail of negative self-talk. We're filled with doubt, anxieties, and we're constantly questioning our own abilities. A daily affirmation is intended to break that cycle by reinforcing positive thoughts about yourself. How do you do this? By reading a script in front of a mirror every morning. I am beautiful, confident, and strong. And the repetition is supposed to change how you actually think about yourself. Does it work? Well, that's what I want to find out. And so I'm going to try daily affirmations for the next week. This video is brought to you by Storyblocks. I'll talk more about them later. Okay, and so to get started, I need to find an affirmation. Now, I suppose I could write one myself.
And now we're back to A-roll. So you saw that he started off with A-roll, himself talking to the camera. He switched microphones. You don't have to do that, but he uses this microphone for voiceovers and he uses this microphone for A-roll. Obviously, this is a pro tip that you actually don't have to do. Starts off with A-roll, where he's just talking to a camera, and then he's switched to a voiceover where he's literally written it out word for word. And it's much easier to read out something word for word if you know it's going to be a voiceover. Whereas if you try and read a script word for word and also look at a camera at the same time, you need a teleprompter, and it's really hard using a teleprompter, and it takes ages to learn how to use it in a natural way, and you still sound a bit weird. Basically, the fact that Matt D'Avella and Pickup Limes and these people, they cut between A-roll and voiceover means that their videos automatically become more engaging. And also, it means that when you're recording a voiceover, you can't be lazy and not have B-roll over the top. You have to have B-roll because there's literally no video footage because you're just directly recording a voiceover. So that would be something that's worth thinking about when it comes to making videos more engaging in the writing bit itself. Thirdly, minimize repetition. This is where YouTube and teaching in real life really diverge, because when you're teaching stuff in real life, you actually do want to be repeating yourself a fair bit. There's that famous adage, that's the right word, where tell them what you're going to teach them, and then teach them, and then tell them what you've just taught them. Now, broadly, this doesn't really apply to YouTube. The way that we experience videos on the internet is that we're very attuned to repetition, and so someone's at the door. And so can you guys hear the doorbell in the background? Anyway, and so if you're repeating stuff, the audience will be like, oh, he said this already, or she said this already, and therefore they're going to switch off and stop watching your video. I have a real problem with this because my default style is teaching, and therefore I'll say something, blah, 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 and then at the end of it, I will conclude and summarize the thing that I've just said. I'll be like, so yeah, what I really mean is blah, 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 blah. And I'll try and summarize it in a more concise way, but even so, I'm definitely repeating the point I've just made. And so while I'm filming, I keep that in mind. While I'm writing videos, I keep that in mind as well. And hopefully Christian keeps it in mind in the edit as well. Like when editing a video, if anything sounds even vaguely repetitive, it just gets cut immediately and no one can tell. It's much better to go on to the next point in the video, if it's a listicle, for example, than it is to repeat a point in summary, and therefore run the risk of losing the audience. Let's talk about flair. The different ways we can add flair to a video.
If we want to change our lives, we're often told
Voiceover.
that we need to think big, make drastic changes, or perhaps even move across continents. But
Actually, I'll play the whole thing first, and then I'll show you all the different types of flair that you can add.
what if we could achieve major transformations just through small tweaks to our daily routines? We all tend to overestimate the importance of single actions and underestimate the power of making small improvements repetitively over a longer period of time.
Yeah, sorry about that. Turns out I actually had to return an iPad to Apple, and I totally forgot. And the guy rocked up. Thankfully, I had it on the door because clearly myself last night, I remembered that today some guy was going to come and pick up an Apple parcel. Anyway, long story short, what are the different ways we can add flair to a video? Basically, B-roll and overhead shots are a very easy way to add flair to a video. So,
if we want to change our lives, we're often told that we need to think big, make drastic changes, or perhaps even move across continents. But
actually, I'll show you the full snippet so you can see what this looks like. And I'll double speed it.
if we want to change our lives, we're often told that we need to think big, make drastic changes, or perhaps even move across continents. But what if we could achieve major transformations just through small tweaks to our daily routines? We all tend to overestimate the importance of single actions and underestimate the power of making small improvements repetitively over a longer period of time. Real change comes from the compound effects of hundreds of small decisions or small habits that, over time, accumulate to produce remarkable results, changing our lifestyles, behaviors, and identities. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. It's the second episode of Book Club, a new series where I summarize key insights and ideas from some of my favorite books. And today we're talking about Atomic Habits by James.
So that was an intro. I didn't do my whole spiel about healthier, happier, productive lives, but I was like, hey friends, welcome back to the channel, to the episode of Book Club, where we summarize insights. So instead of introducing the channel overall, I've introduced the series of Book Club, and I'm hoping that people who vibe with that will be like, oh, this guy summarizes books, and his shirt it needs ironing, or something like that, and hopefully they'll then hit the subscribe button. You can see the first 30 seconds of the video is pure B-roll voiceover, and this video is done really well. So a lot of this voiceover, a lot of this B-roll really has nothing to do with what I'm actually saying.
If we want to change our lives, we're often told...
So I'm going to play it again, and you'll see just how irrelevant a lot of this B-roll is. But it doesn't matter, because even irrelevant B-roll is engaging.
If we want to change our lives, we're often told that we need to think big, make drastic changes, or perhaps even move
Okay, perhaps even move across continents. That's like the only one that's relevant.
across continents. But what if we could achieve major
What the hell does making coffee have to do with achieving major transformations? Who the hell knows?
transformations just through small tweaks to our daily routines? We all tend to overestimate the importance of single action.
It's literally like 6 seconds of me making coffee, and making coffee has absolutely nothing to do with the point I'm actually trying to make.
And underestimate the power of making small improvements repetitively over a longer period of time. Real change comes from the compound effects of hundreds of small decisions or small habits that,
And scrolling through an iPad, taking notes, highlighting. These are all things that plausibly sound legit. And at first glance, when you're watching this, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting. But if you really think about it, like, what the hell does that B-roll have to do with the thing that I'm actually saying? And hopefully what that illustrates, and you start noticing this when you watch more and more YouTube for people that use B-roll, oftentimes the B-roll is kind of irrelevant and it just kind of goes with the vibe regardless of what's actually being said. And so a very easy way of adding flair to your videos is to build a B-roll library. I've got one of those, I'll show you what ours looks like. Oh, we had one for our PTY community as well. But let's see, B-roll library. And so, yeah, I've got B-roll shots, living room, iPad, kitchen, guitar, bedroom, medical, hallway, me when I was young, iMac, desk, exercising, and, let's pick the kitchen, for example. And there are kind of dozens, if not hundreds of clips in here, which are all me in the kitchen in various capacities. And we just generally save these from videos that I've done so that if I ever need a shot of me in the kitchen, let's say if I want a shot of me browsing Audible, then I have like a really solid over-the-shoulder shot of me browsing Audible, and it looks a bit flat. We'd add a bit of contrast in post. But often, if we wanted to include some B-roll in a video, we could just pick a random shot from there. So what I'd recommend you start doing, if you haven't started already, is just make a B-roll library. Pots removed from dishwasher or something like that. Just like random shots that are, a shot for a vlog. Reading Harry Potter. Once you set up a shot once, you might as well get multiple shots of the same thing, just changing up the thing that you're actually doing. This is me reading Harry Potter with that same camera angle as was with Audible. Yeah. B-roll, easy way of adding flair to a video.
If we want to change our lives,
the other way of doing it is by using overhead animation. So I'll show you what that looks like over here.
For that day. As Jake and John say in the book, focusing on a daily highlight stops the tug of war between infinity poor distractions and the demands of the busy bandwagon. It reveals a film.
So this is just literally an overhead camera. I think it's a really cheap overhead camera as well. I think it was like a Sony a6000 or something that was filming this. But when you have, when it comes to overhead shots, you can actually just use an iPhone or whatever phone for it, because you don't need a fancy camera to film decent overhead shots. The point of a fancy camera is that it blurs out the background. And when you have an overhead shot, you don't have a background that will be blurred out because you're just on a desk. So adding any kind of overhead to your videos is another easy way to add flair and just adds a little bit more effort to our videos.
For that day. As Jake and John say...
I wasn't...
Okay, so
here's iPad animations, more details on how to do this in my Skillshare class.
Prospective means looking forward and retrospective means looking back. And what most people think of as a revision timetable tends to be prospective. So it tends to look something like this. You've got
iPad animations. These are all just different ways of adding flair to a video. Tip number 4 or 5, I can't remember which one we're at, is intellectual property, which is basically that when you're talking about something on YouTube, if you give it a name, it's going to sound more legit. So what do I mean by that? This is a video, how I use Notion as a resonance calendar. What the hell is a resonance calendar? Who the hell knows? But I was like, okay, I'll use Notion to save the things that have resonated with me, so that it basically is a bookmarking tool. Notion as a bookmarking tool, but that doesn't sound particularly interesting. Whereas I got like, you know what? I'm using Notion as my resonance calendar, and now people are like, I get messages from people being like, oh my god, are you still using your resonance calendar? I love the way you use the resonance calendar. I literally came up with that name like 2 seconds before filming the video, thinking, this thing kind of needs a name. And now if you Google the phrase resonance calendar, I think someone even wrote a blog post about this. What is a resonance calendar? Coined by YouTuber and Dr. Ali Abdaal, the resonance calendar is a system where you keep a record of all the information that resonated with you in one place. Some kid, I think this was Brandon, this was Xiaomi. Yeah. He wrote this up as a Medium blog post, and now it's rocked up as like a Google snippet. I literally just came up with this shit like 2 seconds before filming the video. But the fact that I called it something, whatever that thing was, means that it sounds automatically more legit. And it sounds like I've put in 10 times more effort and thought into this than I actually have, rather than just making this name up. Here's another one. How I remember everything I read. This was a video about, how I take notes from books. It's not that interesting thinking about how I take notes from books, but I was thinking, okay, the reason I take notes from books is so that I can remember stuff. And there's kind of different levels. Like there's different ways of going overboard with how many notes you're taking. And so I was like, okay, let's have the 5 levels of note taking, or the 6 stages, or the 7 pillars of note taking. And then it kind of got to like 7 levels, or it was a level 1 through to 7. I thought, level 1 is a bit boring. Level 2, it's a bit vanilla. And then I thought, why don't I make some Harry Potter references? And so it was like level 1 is like Muggle, level 2 is Squib, level 3 is, I don't know what that's supposed to be. Level 4, whatever. Dumbledore, Order of the Phoenix, Dumbledore's Army, that kind of stuff. Probably Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw. But that just added more vibes and personality to the video, where I was talking about a fairly dry thing, how I take notes from books. but I used a clickbaity title of How I Remember Everything I Read with a bit of artistic license, and added in this level system, which then had names related to Harry Potter, which, yeah, again, you know, Matthew was talking about yesterday in the storytelling workshop, how you can add storytelling to instructional stuff to make it more engaging. You can also add vibes and personality and banter and making names up for random stuff in your instructional videos to make it sound more engaging. And when instructional stuff sounds engaging, people will engage with it more and they're more likely to remember it. There's another one. David Perel has a phrase, build a personal monopoly. Now, anytime someone Googles the phrase personal monopoly, or if you hear the phrase personal monopoly, you can't help but reference David Perel, because, you know, basically what he's saying is become known for your niche. That's what he's saying. But because he's used the phrase build a personal monopoly, it's like, ooh, that's a nice phrase. And in a lot of aspects of life, just giving something a name helps like slot so many things into place in our brains, like personal monopoly. Oh yeah, I get what that means. Or, you know, when Li Jin wrote a blog post calling it, like, I think it was the passion economy, suddenly everyone's like, oh my God, yes. All of these little things that I've had floating around my head around like creator economy, all this kind of stuff, it's all about the passion economy. And anytime someone uses the phrase passion economy, they reference her in the blog post, and it's like she's an investor in this and all this kind of stuff. This is all really good. David Perel has another one, serendipity vehicle. The reason you should write online is to build your serendipity vehicle. It sounds a bit highbrow, but like it is a perfect description of, you know, this idea that when you put yourself out there online, it acts as a networking tool for yourself while you're sleeping and without putting any effort in your part. He's like taken those concepts, condensed it into a nice phrase, the serendipity vehicle, that sounds sufficiently rogue, but also and is therefore very memorable. And now, anytime I tell people why they should write online or start a YouTube channel, I can't help but use the phrase serendipity vehicle. And I was like, I wish I came up with this. But instead I have to reference David Perel, be like, okay, so, you know, one of my mates, David, he comes up, he calls it the serendipity vehicle. The idea is bloody blah, blah, blah. And David probably was like, you know what, I need a name for this kind of stuff. He's going to talk more about this sort of thing in his writing class, which is going to be as a guest workshop next week. Tiago Forte, progressive summarization, a practical technique for designing discoverable notes. Progressive summarization is what university students do when they're highlighting their notes. They don't call it progressive summarization. They just call it that thing that we do when we highlight our notes and like figure out what's important. But Tiago's given a name to it. He's called it progressive summarization. And this makes up 25% of his course. That makes like $5 million a year. Mostly because he took a thing that people do and gave it a name. And then once you give something a name, you give it a methodology, and then people are like, oh, this is more legit. And it actually does become more legit. It's not like you're selling snake oil here. You are actually adding value by giving a name to something. And so what I encourage you to do is in your YouTube videos, if you're teaching stuff, consider giving it a name. You know, August Bradley's Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults. He probably came up with that shit. He's probably like, oh, you know, I really need a good name for this. Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults. And now he's built like a $3 million business off the back of selling training in Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults. And he probably just came up with it in like 20 minutes. You know, our idea generation machine. Honestly, a lot of the stuff we're saying here is, again, it's pretty obvious. It's been pretty obvious to me because I've been doing YouTube for 4 years. But when you give something a name like the birdsong technique or coal mining or 5 months of content in 5 minutes, which Sean McCabe came up with, when you give it a name, you call it a technique, suddenly you start using it more because you now know that this thing, it's got a name, it's a technique, other people use it, it's more legit. I think one of our student supporters, Actor, had a video a few months ago where it was really interesting. What was it? Actor dot. I Google this. How I set goals, the DOT system. I saw this title, it came up in my feed. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I actually watched the whole video. It's unusual for me to watch a whole video of anything on YouTube, but I watched this because I was like, what the hell is this DOT system? I've never heard of this. And then I messaged her being like, this DOT system video was really good. And she was like, lol, yeah, I just literally made it up. I came up with it. I don't know if Actor's here. But yeah, she just literally made it up because she was like, yeah, you know, I need a system. And then there's like a little diagram that comes along. It's like the DOT system, and she's like drawn it out, and it's got some B-roll, and it's all just made up. But that's literally how knowledge gets shared. People make shit up and then they share it. If you give it a name, it just sounds so much better. So these are the different ways of adding flair to our videos in terms of the writing. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's now talk about the different ways that we can add flair to our videos in terms of the structure. And broadly, there are dozens of different ways of structuring a video. I believe in systematically structuring videos, and the formats that I use most often are the listicle, the triplet, the quartet, and the story. So let's go over those in turn. Let's start with the listicle structure. Nice and easy. What is a listicle? A listicle is that thing on BuzzFeed, 6 things you didn't know about fried eggs, or 7 ways in which you wouldn't believe you're actually like a Ravenclaw student, and stuff like that. How to write a medicine personal statement, 13 tips. This was, I think, my first video that actually got a decent number of views. The 23rd of September 2017, I was in my college accommodation in Cambridge, right by the hospital, and my little thing. I look a bit weird, and I'm like, 13 tips. Well, actually, I collated the tips from most of my friends. I was only talking for about 2 minutes in the video, and my friends were talking for the remainder 8. But this is a listicle. It does well. How to read 100 books a year. Not true. Clickbait title. 8 tips for reading more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Easy. How I built $1 million business in med school. Again, not true. A clickbaity title with a lot of artistic license. 10 tips for entrepreneurs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Easy. How I type really fast. This video went viral on our channel late last year. It was just a listicle. Hey, I was thinking, I want to make a video about fast typing. What are some things I know about typing fast? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rejig into an order that makes sense. And suddenly you've got a video that took about 10 minutes to plan and has thus accelerated the growth of our channel absolutely massively because this video went viral. And it goes to show the power of a listicle. And these days, I'll be honest, most of our videos are ultimately listicles. I think we're starting to overuse listicles now that we make 2 videos a week, and the last 20 have been listicles. But only 3 people in the comments have actually complained that your videos are sounding a bit samey. Everyone else is like, oh my god, this is groundbreaking information. So we're going to continue to use the listicle structure just because it's so easy to do. 9 passive income ideas, how I make 27K per week. This video went viral a couple months ago. Pure listicle, just 9 ideas. I like the number 9. We were thinking, I think we had 7 on the list, and we were like, oh, we often do 9. Let's just try and get it up to 9 until we split one of the 7s into 2 different parts and ended up with 9 passive income ideas. 8 habits that made me a millionaire. Again, not quite true. Not quite a millionaire, depending on how you define it. Paper millionaire and all that. But either way, clickbait title, listicle, nice and easy. Video's doing pretty well. I was wrong. The real secret of productivity. This is also a listicle. It's clickbait title of oh my god, intrigue. What was I wrong about in productivity? And in this video, I'll share some tips that have helped me figure out the true secret of productivity. And it's just point 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's so easy making a video when you think about just structuring it in the format of a list. It's just the one that we default to for everything. Anything can be turned into a listicle. Listicles are more interesting than rambly videos, and it's nice to be able to timestamp videos. And the more you listicleize your videos, if you say, hey guys, in this video, I'm going to give you some general tips on how to sleep better, that doesn't sound as good. Whereas if you say, in this video, I'm going to give you 8 tips for how to sleep better from Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep, it sounds more legit. Tip number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When you have a listicle, you don't need to worry about structure very much. You don't need to worry that one point flows onto the next, flows onto the next. You don't need to worry about linking things and B-roll. You literally you finished a point number 2, and you move on, and no one cares because it's a listicle, and listicles are amazing. So if you are struggling to come up with the structure for your video, often just writing down a list of 3 or 5 or 7, it should probably be an odd number. Odd numbers are better. It should have been 9 habits that made me a millionaire rather than 8, because just odd is better. Just make an odd number of things, turn it into a listicle, and your video will be good. Next, we have the triplet structure. This is another one. It's not quite a listicle, but it's kind of interesting. Basically, the way the triplet structure works is that you've got your video, you've got your main point, you got your second point, you got your third point. Point 1 has 3 subpoints, point 2 has 3 subpoints, and point 3 has 3 subpoints. And you have an intro and you have a conclusion. This is basically how I used to write essays in medical school. 3 points, a bit of evidence for each one, intro, conclusion, done. And this works remarkably well for videos as well. And so this is a stupidly easy way to structure a video. Now, I want to do a little live workshop where I would show you how I actually do this. I wonder, Nikita, are you still with us? You said you were struggling with a video. I wonder if
sure.
Are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect, cool. What's the video title that you were struggling with, and we'll see if we can turn it into a listicle structure.
I'd like to do a video about how you can decide on a product you want to sell or decide on a product you want to create and sell. I'm talking about digital products.
How to decide which digital product to make?
Or sell. To make or sell.
To sell. Okay, great. So how do you decide? What are your 3 main points that you want to get across in the video?
First of all, that you need to come up with a list of ideas. Then you have to pick those that are very easy to implement, something that can be done over a weekend, doesn't require any special technical skills,
Yeah.
Doesn't require you to hire a team, something you can do just yourself.
Yeah.
And then something that you can test really quick by, I don't know, like running Facebook ads or something like that, but like really quick. So you don't have to do like a focus group research. You don't have to go, I don't know, to talk to 100 people. You don't have to make some kind of like cold contacts. You don't have to call anyone.
Yeah.
Something you can really like test really quick.
Great. Facebook ads, anything else you can use? AdWords?
Yeah, the AdWords, Google ads, Facebook ads.
Okay.
Basically pretty much like any display kind of ads.
Great. Now, how do you make a list of ideas?
You're using your techniques, like going to your coal mines, just going like to Twitter, browse for the accounts there, and just picking up some ideas there.
Okay.
Something that you see that people actually struggle with. And they cannot find.
Things that people are struggling with. Problems to be solved. So you can go coal mine, you can go Twitter. Can we pick one more? Just so we have 3. How else can you find ideas?
Coal mine, Twitter, some mailing lists. If you subscribe to some guys, sometimes they have like lots of ideas in their mailing lists, where they share like their journey, like about something they experienced last week.
Okay, cool. So what's the hook for this video? In this video, I'm going to teach you what?
How you can come up with a solid idea for a digital product that you can implement over a weekend.
Great. What's your intro?
Hey, I'm Nikita. I help content creators to monetize their passion by learning how to build digital products and services without coding.
Perfect. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to come up with a solid idea for a digital product that you can implement over say, a single weekend. Hey everyone, my name is Nikita. I help content creators monetize their passions by learning how to build digital products and services without coding. And in this video, I'm going to give you 3 general tips. And in this video, I'm going to give you a step. And in this video, I'm going to give you my 3-step method for coming up with ideas. What's your 3-step method called? The something method. Well, pick something.
Keto coal mining.
The core. No, preferably something that doesn't have one of your subpoints in it.
How to get through the noise.
Okay, so the cut through the noise. The noise cutting method. There we go. In this video, I'm going to teach you the noise cutting method. This is my patented 3-step formula for how you can come up with any kind of business idea and test it and implement it in a single weekend. Let's go for it. Step number 1 is to make a list of ideas. These are things that people are struggling to, blah, blah, blah. There are 3 ways you can find ideas. Number 1, you can use coal mining, blah, 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 blah. Number 2, you can look on Twitter. You should follow these people, Jack Butcher, blah, 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 blah. Number 3, you should subscribe to mailing lists where people share business ideas. A few that I'd recommend are blah, 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 linked in the video description. Step number 2, now that you've got a list of ideas, you just want to pick the easy ones and then choose what to go with. Now, there's 3 criteria that I want you to think about when you're picking a business idea. Number 1, it needs to be able to be done over a weekend. Don't bother picking something that's going to take you 8 months to make. Pick something that could be done by a weekend. Number 2, pick something that you can do by yourself. And crucially, number 3, pick something that you can do without any technical skills at all. So for example, if we start with this list of long ideas, I'd be scrapping out A, B, and C, and I'd be using idea number E and F. And these are the ones that tick these 3 boxes. And then finally, and guys, this is the most important bit, you really need to test your idea quickly. If you test your idea quickly, you can cut through the noise. Don't worry about focus groups and market research and all that stuff that you would learn in an MBA. Those people don't know what they're talking about. That's not how the world works anymore. Instead, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and Google ads. And with about $30 and a little bit of ad spend, you can very quickly test, is your idea going to be able to go to market? So guys, this was the 3-step noise cutting method. To find out more, make sure you hit the subscribe button and check out this video over here where I talk to you specifically about how to run Facebook ads. Thanks for watching and see you next time. It's a pretty solid video. I'd make a video like this. And it's the triplet structure. You know, you literally just, what am I doing? I'm only allowed to talk about 3 things. So what are the 3 things I'm talking about? For each of those 3 things, I'm only allowed to talk about 3 sub-things. So what are the 3 sub-things I'm talking about? And then let me give my thing a name. Let's have a hook, let's have an intro, and then let's have a conclusion where we do our in-screen sales pitch. So hopefully this this was kind of helpful. I haven't done this live
I
before.
don't even know
This
what
was
to say.
friendly. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's quite all right.
I'll definitely do a video like that.
I'll copy and paste this into the chat so you can you can steal it. But it's all your stuff, man. And I find that like the other day, so we've got Matthew, who's one of our student supporters as well. He was in cohort 2.
He's here.
He's in this call as well. And we were just chilling in WeWork the other day, and Matthew was like really struggling with like a video. And then me and Angus just like went on the whiteboard and was like, come on, Matthew, just like talk to us, and turned it into a triplet structure. And he was saying after, and I think we sort of had like filmed bits of it, but I don't know where the footage went. But it's often so surprising just how easy it is to craft a video if you stick to a structure and if you have someone asking you very direct, quick, pointed questions. Because otherwise we can get in our own heads. Like, Nikita, I'm sure you actually have like a ton of knowledge about how to build digital products, but me asking you to condense it in like 2 minutes into a triplet structure will help the video come out much better. And then you can sell your online course on how to build digital products where you talk about all 500 steps in the process. But otherwise, triplet is a super easy way to come up with a video if you've been struggling at all. All right.
Thank you.
That's quite all right. So I'm glad that worked. I'm really glad that worked. I was like shitting it. I was like, what if this doesn't work? So I'm glad that worked. Right, listicle, triplet. Let's talk about the quartet structure. This is like a thing within like the world of instructional content, where it's like why we're doing what we're doing, how we do it, and then like how to actually kind of implement it. We don't really use this a lot because a lot of the stuff on our channel isn't really technical skills. If I were teaching people how to use Notion, or if I were teaching people how to use a to-do list app, then I would use this kind of structure. It'd be like, okay, well, why are we doing it in the first place? What's the deal with it? What are the main concepts? How do we do it? Let me dive into my screen share and I'll show you how this is done. And now what are the action steps that you can take for yourself? So if you've got that sort of technical content, I know we've got some people that teach Microsoft Excel and Salesforce and video editing and photography and After Effects. The 4MAT model, the format model, works really, really nicely for that because it's pretty evidence-based and all that stuff. But admittedly, we don't use it very much at all. The final and probably most interesting one is, this was a video that I was planning, how I'm improving my storytelling. This was a quartet structure. Yeah, I think I was doing, what's this? It was Robbie Crabtree's course, Performative Speaking. And yeah, so I was going through the course and I attended his guest workshop that he did. I think it was in cohort 1, and I happened to have a pad right next to me. And as I was doing, I was just sort of turning the video into a quartet structure, where it was like, why, over here it's like, why am I trying to improve my storytelling? What are the general concepts of how I'm trying to do my storytelling? Specifically, what I'm actually doing to improve my storytelling, Superhuman Social Skills, Storyworthy, and The One Moment, and then what can the audience do about it further down the line, which was sort of the quartet format structure for storytelling. Why do we do it? What are the concepts? How are we doing it? And then encouraging the user to do something with that information. And this is a video that we haven't actually, we've had it in the calendar for such a long time with this kind of screenshot. We just haven't turned it into a video just yet because we've had just too many ideas to deal with. But quartet works if you're doing instructional content. Now, finally, let's talk about the story structure. Now, story structure is probably the most interesting one. And there's all sorts of different ways of structuring a story. But generally, for most YouTubers, the hero's journey is the way that we want to be structuring our stories. What is the hero's journey? There's a dude called Joseph Campbell who did a load of research on like all of the different stories throughout time and space. And he found that broadly, they follow this arc that he called the hero's journey, where it's like, it's some dude is living in a village in the Shire and everything's all hunky-dory and he's having a good time. And then a wizard comes and says, hey, I want to send you on an adventure, and you have the call to adventure. And then initially the guy's like, no, but I'm just Harry. And then he's like, wow, just Harry. And then they like takes him on the adventure after a little bit of like back and forth, a bit of like, I'll not pay for some crackpot old fool, teach him magic tricks. I'm going a bit overboard. I don't know why I'm high today. And then he goes on the adventure, and then on the adventure, he like obstacle 1, obstacle 2, obstacle 3. And then, he has this like external transformation about like, becoming a wizard, Harry. And then, but actually that is kind of that precedes the internal transformation of like, actually friendship is what matters, and like, you know, bravery and honesty and integrity and all that crap, all that stuff is what matters. And then he goes back to his home, a changed man, and he's now got this internal transformation. And this is literally the format that like all good stories that we hear of, you know, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Star Trek, the same thing anyway. They all basically follow this hero's journey story arc. Now, this is very, very complicated. There's all other bits that go into this with like villains and all that kind of stuff. But if we simplify it down to the level that we actually care about for YouTube videos, this is like a slightly more simpler version of it. Call to adventure, meeting a mentor, crossing the threshold, trials and tribulations and failures, growth, new skills, death and rebirth, and so on. This is an even more sort of toned down version of it. So you, the character, want to need something. You leave your home, you adapt, you get rewarded by something, but there's a price to pay. You come back home and you're a changed person as a result of it. Again, this is a more simplified version of the hero's journey. And yeah, all these films basically map, all these stories basically map perfectly onto the hero's journey canvas. And the way that manifests for YouTube videos is these 7 questions, which is part of our video kind of systematic structure plan for whenever we make a video. Who is the character? What do they want? Why can't they get what they want? What are the stakes? Who helps them? How do they get what they want? And how are they transformed by the experience? So you can actually apply this to almost any video that you want to do. Even if you are teaching something, especially if you're teaching something, you can apply a story structure. You know, who is the character? Usually you as the YouTuber, and therefore the audience sees themselves in your shoes. What do they want? I want to remember more of what I read. Why can't they get what they want? Well, the reason I can't remember more of what I read is because I read something and then like a week later I just completely forget it. And if I'm listening to stuff on Audible, then there's no easy way to take notes on it, and then I completely forget it. And then I always think, oh, I've spent so much time reading, and it's like I haven't actually learned anything. What are the stakes? What will happen if they don't get what they want? Well, the stakes here are that I waste my 2 hours a day of my life reading books, and I don't remember anything I learned from them. And so that's just a bit stupid. It's just like a total time waste. And then I'll get to my deathbed and think, you know what? I read all these books, but I have literally zero recollection of anything, any of them, and this is bad. Who or what helps them? But then I discovered, I don't know, building a second brain, this like term, or the Zettelkasten, or the whatever terminology for note-taking from books. How do they get what they want? And then I started implementing it. I realized that if I do points 1, 2, and 3, then I can actually take notes from books in this way. And then how are they transformed by the experience? And ever since I've been using this method for note-taking, I've actually kind of tripled the amount of stuff that I retain from books. Now, when I'm on a podcast and people interview me and they say, hey, what's your approach to this? I can just like cite a quote from a book verbatim, and people are so impressed. They're like, oh my God, you read so much. And I think to myself, I've been reading for like 20 years, but it's only really in the last 6 months that I've started taking notes from it. And so this method has really helped increase the stuff that I retain from books and blah, 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 blah. So this is an instructional thing, how I take notes from books, how I remember what I read, but in the format of a story. And you can always apply this to basically any kind of video that you do. So let's do a solo exercise now. During the next 5 minutes, take one of your video ideas and answer the 7 story-based questions. The key questions to concentrate on are numbers 4 and 7, but you should be able to provide an answer for all of them. If you're struggling, draw upon the lessons we learned in yesterday's session with Robbie about storytelling. That was Matthew about storytelling. Apologies, I should have changed the name on that slide. All right, let's go. 5 minutes. I've just realized on Spotify you can actually sort songs by their like runtime. So I'm going to start doing that so I can like perfectly time the end of the timer with like the cadence, is it, of the track when it like ends, whatever. Anyway, can you please copy paste? Very good. We're seeing stuff. This is good. It's what we like to see. Who's the character? What do they want? Yes, question 5 and 6 are often kind of the same. Who or what helps them and how do they get what they want? The way I often think of it is that question 5 is, and then I discovered this person or this method or this book. And then the question 6 is, and here is how I applied those to my own life. So I used to struggle with X, and these were the problems. And then I discovered Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. And the things I took from that were A, B, C, D, and E. And now here's how I'm transformed by the experience. But that all kind of goes together in one. Cool. Thank you everyone for sharing in the chat. Just taking a quick glance, this all looks very good. And of course, we'll have the saved version of the chat if you want to get some inspiration to steal ideas like an artist from. Let's do our final breakout room. So head into your breakout rooms and pitch your story to your group. Please assign a timekeeper, and you can get some feedback from the group about what they think, but also you'll have practice telling your story and pitching your concept. And usually when we say stuff out loud, we realize what the holes in it are, and we realize, oh, I could add that bit in for number 3 and that bit in for number 5. So have a go at that in the breakout rooms. 2 minutes is going to be quite short, yes. We are nearly coming up to time, and I do want to do some time for Q&A, but we'll do 10 to 12 minutes for this breakout room. So good luck, have fun. Please do try and keep time and let everyone in the group have a go. And I'll see you in about 10, 12 minutes. Okay, we're back. So, thoughts on the breakout room. We'd love to hear any feedback. Got a one-on-one room, nice. So, yeah, one of the things with the story stuff is that often it can feel very hard to shoehorn a story structure into the thing that you're going to do a video about. And what I'd say to that is that you don't have to have a story structure for every video. Hell, like, 90% of our videos are either listicles or triplets. But if I could, I would incorporate some type of story structure into every video. And for most videos, if you think about it, it actually can be done. And even if you don't make the whole video follow a story structure, there's always a lot of storytelling you can incorporate into a video. Because when it comes to instructional stuff, as Matthew was saying in the workshop yesterday, the thing that keeps us holding on to instructional content and educational stuff is the stories associated with it. The only reason we know about Isaac Newton and how he discovered gravity is because there is the story of the apple falling on his head. If the apple didn't fall on his head, or if he didn't make that up, then we'd probably relegate him to the sort of scientist that we've heard of, but we don't really know very much about, possibly. So, I hope you all found that breakout room useful. As a quick summary, we have talked about 4 different methods of structuring a video. There are infinite methods to structure a video, but here at the Part-Time YouTuber Academy, we're all about kind of making good content as efficiently and systematically as possible. And so these are the 4 that I've found have given me the best bang for buck and the ones that we use on a daily basis. Finally, let's just quickly go over the end screen sales pitch. Now, basically, from now on until the end of time, anytime you end a video, it should point to another video that you want the audience to watch from your channel. That's just going to be a general rule moving forward. The reason that is because when someone gets to the end of a video, there's very few people that are actually going to get to the end of a video. Like if you look at your retention curves, if you're like most of us, you'll get like 10%, 15% of your people actually watching through to the end of the video. The people that watch through to the end are absolute prime candidates for wanting to watch another one of your videos because they've literally just spent however long watching your original one. And what you don't want to do, which is what most beginners do, is they get to the end of the video and then the audience is like, oh, well, I don't know what to watch next. And all of a sudden you've broken the spell. They're no longer engrossed in your content. And they're like, you know what? Why am I spending, half an hour sitting on the toilet watching this random person on YouTube? I should be doing something better with my life. That's the sort of thought process we don't want our audience members to have. And so we want to make it as easy as possible for them to continue their YouTube browsing session, because the way we succeed on YouTube is by keeping people on the platform for longer. We do not want people to realize that watching our videos is a waste of time and instead they should do something else like hang out with their kids. Instead, we want them to continue watching our videos. And so we need to give them a pitch to watch another video on the end screen. So here are some examples. Okay, so have a look at this end screen at the end of the video. No, I don't want that.
Would come up to me and say, hey Ali, I watched Not Tied In. I'd really recommend you set up your own Magical Insight logging framework. You don't have to use all of these apps. Kindle, I would 100% recommend to everyone. Instapaper versus Pocket, you can use both. Air is the only way of doing this with podcasts at the moment. Readwise is fantastic. And for your second brain, Readwise also outputs to Notion, Roam, and Evernote. So you're not tied into any one app for this sort of thing. But as I said, the one that I use for my second brain is Notion.
Okay, end screen sales pitch coming up.
It's whereby I love it, and I just basically organize my entire life around Notion. And I remember that back in the day, like 2 years ago, anytime people would recognize me on the streets or something, #flex, they would come up to me and say, hey Ali, I watched your iPad videos and I bought an iPad or an iPad Pro because of your recommendation. But in the last 18 months or so, not one person has said to me, I've bought an iPad because of your recommendation. Instead, now the thing that people say to me when they meet me in real life is, I started using Notion because of you and it's changed my life, so thank you. So if you want to find out more about how I use Notion to organize my life and supercharge my productivity, hit the little playlist over here. That'll be some of my top performing videos about how I use Notion, the behind the scenes of my magical system. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
I spent a solid like 40 seconds at the end of the video selling the fact that, look, guys, you really need to use Notion. People come up to me on the street and they say, oh my God, Notion has changed my life. And therefore, click on this short playlist. That playlist only had like 3 or 4 videos. So essentially with an end screen, we either want to point them to a single video or to a very short playlist. Generally, we want to avoid the kind of YouTube suggestion about like best for viewer or up next or whatever, because it might not be our video. And because we don't know what that video is going to be, it's very hard to actively sell it. So if we look here, you know, for me, our channel average end screen element click rate, the amount of people who click on the end screen once they've seen it, is about 3%. For this video, it was 3 times higher. It was 8.6%. And the reason it was so high for this particular video is because I made a very, very clear sales pitch. I didn't say, by the way, check out this video over here, which is the one YouTube recommends to you, which like no one's going to click on. I said, guys, trust me, Notion is a game changer, and you've seen this video, therefore you're going to love using Notion, therefore you have to click on this video over here. And that is what gave us like the 3 times higher end screen click-through rate. And there's a theory that goes out amongst all of these YouTuber growth type people, that the more you can boost up your end screen elements shown and the end screen element click rate, the better your video is going to do. Because the more end screens you can show, what that means is that more people are watching through to the end of your video, which means actually your video is better because it's keeping people engaged. And the more you can get people to click on an end screen that goes to your own channel, the more you're extending their watching session. And so often, 2 like counterintuitive, slightly rogue metrics to pay attention to are how many people are seeing my end screens, and then how many people are clicking on my end screens. And trying to bump those numbers up often does absolute wonders for a channel, according to video creators who I've had a few coaching sessions with about this exact thing. That's one example. Here's another example of a good end screen that performed well. Yeah, 8.9%. This is solid 3 times higher. So let's look at the end screen for this one.
Or should you go 16 gigabyte?
This is like a brilliant, is it not brilliant? No, it's just,
A lot of people say that you actually don't need to upgrade the RAM. Some people say that you should. I think if you're a student and you're strapped for cash, you probably won't notice the difference between 8 gigabytes and 16 gigabytes. But if you can shell out the extra cash, then hey, why not upgrade to 16 gigabytes? Especially if you're going to be keeping this laptop for a very long time. And so the question is, should you buy the 2020 M1 MacBook Air? And my answer is, if you want to spend $1,000 on a laptop or thereabouts, then you really can't get anything better than this. But as I'm going to be talking about in my next video, if you intend to keep this for a very long time, and you want to shell out an extra $300-400, then I would consider upgrading to the MacBook Pro instead. And that is what we're going to be talking about in this video over here in the next few days, if it's not out already. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that was useful. Do hit the subscribe button if you aren't already, and I'll see you next time.
So I plugged an end screen for a video that wasn't even out yet. I knew that it was going to be weird for a few days, but I suspected, okay, if someone has watched all 16 minutes of me talking about the M1 MacBook Air, they might then also become interested in me talking about the M1 MacBook Pro. And so I preemptively plugged the end screen saying, you know, if you're in those sorts of people, you might want to check out this very specific video here. Again, I did not let YouTube choose that for them, because then I'm just kind of shooting in the wind and it's like, who knows what's going to happen. I specifically said, for the people that will be likely to watch through to the end of this video, what is the next most suitable video I want them to watch, and pointed them to the next one. And we can see over here, again, channel average 3%, end screen click-through rate 8.9%. And so this is like end screen done well. Let's have a look at a bad end screen click-through rate. So, you know, this end screen element click rate, 1.2%. So this was really bad. What was bad about this? Let's have a look. I can't even remember.
Which iPad you should buy in 2019. I hope you found this video useful. If you liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please consider doing so. You might like to check out a new podcast that me and my brother have started. It's called Not Overthinking. And I think episode 3 of that podcast, or maybe it's episode 4, we talk more about purchasing decisions and why we recommend, for example, investing in a kitchen bin versus investing in a Tesla, for example. So I'll link that below. You might like to listen to that. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
And for this one, so this is really bad. This is an example of what not to do when kind of doing an end screen. So I gave way too much kind of, basically, we don't want people to even realize that the video is finishing. We want to shove them straight into the next one. And the more like, thank you for watching terminology you have in your video at the end screen, the more people are just going to immediately click off, because everyone knows what that means. And then you're breaking the spell, and then you're letting them click off. The ideal way of doing an end screen is by sort of segueing into it as seamlessly as possible. And as soon as people realize the video is over, you're shoving the end screen in their face, and then you're sort of wrapping up as soon as possible. You don't want to be like, so guys, thank you so much for watching. Those were 10 tips on how to be an entrepreneur. Honestly, guys, I wish you the best of success. Do leave a comment down below and tell me what you guys think. By the way, guys, you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit this. You know, as soon as I start talking like that, people are like, all right, I'm done. The video is over. Whereas if I was like, all right, those were 10 tips for being an entrepreneur. If you like that, you're going to love 10 tips for time management. This is all about how you can manage your time once you become an entrepreneur. And I promise you, the tips in that are going to change your life. So click that video over there right now, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye. That is a good way of doing an end screen. It is not thanking the viewer. You can thank the viewer. I like to thank the viewer anyway. I like to thank the viewer after I've done the end screen. You can thank them a little bit, but you don't want to thank them too much. You also don't want to kind of plug things at the end of your video that encourage people to go off the platform. Hey guys, I've just started a new podcast with my brother. It's called Not Overthinking. Go to notoverthinking.com. No, absolutely not. I can plug stuff in the middle of the video, but at the end of the video, when people are at their most emotionally volatile moment, that is not when I want to be telling them to go off and go leave the platform. I want them to stay on YouTube and to watch more of my own videos. So hard to emphasize this enough, but that's why the fourth element of Hives is kind of the end screen sales pitch. Now, I will put a link. Elizabeth, do you have that link to hand? If not, I'll find it. To our Notion video template. It's also in the resources section, but I'll just basically share. Where's my template link? Video schedule. New video template. Edit. Share. This is a very public one. Copy. You can duplicate it, but you can't edit and comment. There we go. Oh, nice one. Thanks. I think that is exactly the same. Oh, it looks slightly different. Maybe it's slightly different. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That is exactly the template that we use. And so within Notion, when we create a new video, this is the template that comes out. If it's going to load, we've got title, where we're encouraging people to select 10 titles per video, thumbnail ideas, all of the different remix things that we're going to do. We'll talk more about that in week 6 and week 5. Telling the story, branding components, which we're going to talk about next week, Hives framework, hook, intro, value, and end screen sales pitch, and that is the video. And so if you just work through the video template when you're making a video, it's a very easy, systematic way to make decent content. It can be very overwhelming. Again, if you're a beginner and you're still in the journey of making one video a week, don't worry about all of this fancy stuff. This is for the stuff. This fancy stuff is for people who are already comfortable making one video a week and just want to make one good video a week. Feel free to sidestep that if you like, but if you're feeling overwhelmed as a result of this, then it's probably because this is too advanced for the stage that you're currently at. And right now, the only thing you want to focus on as a beginner is just getting that video out. And the more, and if you can sprinkle in some of this stuff in it, then it's better, but it's absolutely not a requirement. The foundation is to put out that one video every week. As a reminder, this video's assignment is steal like an artist. Steal like an artist and create a video based on an idea that you generated while digging in one of your coal mines. The video can be any length or genre, but it must be, ideally, inspired by something you found using one of the coal mines that you listed during the last week's session. When you publish your video, share it in homework number 3, and also share where the inspiration came from. As a bonus challenge, you can also share 10 title ideas with your post and invite others to decide which title they would click on. As David Bowie famously said, the only art I'll ever study is the stuff that I can steal from. So, next session is the ABCDE of personalization, where we have another systematic framework for making our channel more legit and making people fall in love with us and with our channels. Hopefully this was useful. Sadly, we don't have any time for Q&A because this has been a content-packed session. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you have questions, do stick them on the questions and answers section in the PTY community, and our team and me and our friends in the community will get back to you. Thanks so much for attending, and we'll see you next time.